Everybody, and a very big welcome to Thursday morning. Today, the good news is that Annie Shotton is doing our morning devotion. Really looking forward to hearing what she has to say. So, over to Annie.
Yes, my name is Annie and I'm from the New England site, and this morning's devotion is from Psalm 110. Now, to be honest, when I first read this psalm, I thought, what? Why have I got this one? I don't even understand it. And had it been my own personal devotion, I may have skipped on to the next psalm. But I didn't. I got stuck into it and read a bit more and found out that actually this psalm's one of the most quoted texts from the Old Testament that's in the New Testament. And actually, the more I've read into it, the more I found this psalm is so full of truth and goodness. It's amazing. So I just want to encourage you, get into this book. It might not always be easy, but it is so worth it. Anyway, so what I want to do is give a quick, a brief gist of the psalm, and then look at Melchizedek, and then look at two things that I feel God has spoken to me about. So, really briefly, this psalm is written by King David, and it's basically like David's got an insight into a conversation from God to who we now know is Jesus. But in the psalm, David calls him my Lord. This psalm is a forward-looking psalm to a time when this Lord of David will rule and reign over the nations and the earth. And the psalm also looks at what this Lord will be like, a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So, Melchizedek, he shows up in the Bible in Genesis chapter 14 at the same time of Abram. He is a high priest, and he's also king of Salem, which is what we now know as Jerusalem. He's quite unusual because in the history of God's people, the role of king and priest are generally separate, but this guy's both. Okay, now check this. His name, Melchizedek, means king of righteousness. And he rules over Salem, which means peace. So we have the king of righteousness ruling over the kingdom of peace. So good. And even better, when he comes to meet Abraham and bless him, he comes with bread and wine. And I was like, what? So early on in the Bible, like the first few pages of it, here is a guy who couldn't sound more like Jesus if he tried. The king of righteousness, his kingdom is peace, and he comes to bless. And the symbolism of bread and wine is just amazing. So this is Melchizedek, and when David talks about Melchizedek, that's who he's referring to, that his Lord will be in the order of Melchizedek. His Lord will be both a priest and a king, someone who intercedes and someone who leads. So hopefully that gives a little bit of context for the psalm. And then, just lastly, two things that I felt God speak to me. I was really struck by how this psalm was David's future hope. He was looking forward to what his Lord would be like and what his Lord would do. But for us as believers, we know Jesus. We know what he's like. We know what he's done. And even more than that, we are in him. We don't just know about him. We are new creations in Jesus. So just as in verse 1 where it says that God talks to David's Lord, Jesus, he also says to us. And the first thing he says is sit. We are invited to sit with God. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes this isn't top of my to-do list. There's nearly always tons of stuff to do, and I just want to get on and do it. But like Mary, choosing the good portion to sit at Jesus' feet instead of bustling around, that's what we've been invited to. And I just want to encourage you, have you taken time to sit with him? To lean in, to abide, to ask him to speak to you, to enjoy his presence. That's what you're invited to, first of all, to sit with God. And then the next part of that verse, I love it too, because it says where Jesus sits, and it is at the right hand of God. And that is where we are invited to sit as well. We're not only sitting with him, we're sitting at his right hand. And that is massive. We're seated in heavenly places with Jesus. I don't know where you think you're sitting today, whether you think you're sitting in furlough or in work, in isolation or loneliness or in a madhouse. in sickness, in health, in joy, in sorrow. I could go on. There's an enemy who wants to whisper to you where you're really seated. But as believers, we need to know again that we are seated with Christ in heavenly places. We are seated at his right hand. We are seated in his victory, in his righteousness, in his peace, in his abundance, in his presence. And that is our strength for the day and our hope for tomorrow. And then lastly, I loved verse 5 as well, because it says the Lord is at your right hand. So not only are we seated with him, but he is seated with us. He is at your right hand. I don't know if you feel like you've got massive plans for the day or for the week. We kind of don't. But whether you do or you don't, whether you've got many plans or few, he's with you. He's literally at your right hand. And that is such an encouragement. And I'm just going to pray. Jesus, I thank you so much for your word. I thank you that it is our daily bread. It feeds us, Lord. And I just thank you for the truth that we are seated with you in heavenly places. Lord, we want to drink that in again, that we're seated at your right hand, Lord. And I pray that we would know also that you are with us, that we're not alone, that we're not just isolated in our own circumstances, but you are with us. And you are our strength for the day and our hope for tomorrow. I pray for your blessing and your favour on us today and for the rest of this week in Jesus' name. Amen. Brill, thanks for listening, and I hope you have a really good day.